help if I put the mic near me. Alright. Hello everybody. Welcome back to Forever Conscious Research Channel. Hope you are all having an enjoyable weekend. It's a beautiful day here, and I hope it is where you are as well. Since we're finally getting into the summer months, I'm sure some of you out there in the cold areas are finally getting a chance to get outside, which is always good. So we're gonna jump right into this pretty quickly because it's gonna be a pretty lengthy stream. I'm not sure exactly how far I'm gonna go, but it's probably gonna be somewhere in the range of 2 hours. So just want to make sure you guys know that. Now this is part one of a multi-part series breaking down the book Journey of Souls. It's 29 case studies of life between lives, and this book really shows some of the mechanisms going on behind the scenes afterwards that it's just good to be aware of. It yet again exposes the Matrix reincarnation soul trap. So boy, it's a wild ride, and again, this is going to be a long series, probably at least 6-7 videos, maybe even more, and I'm going to try to do at least a couple a week. Just bear with me 1 second. Just going to do a mic check. It looks like the levels might be high, so I don't want to have any feedback. Okay, I guess it looks like it's okay. Can you guys hear my fans in the background at all? Oh, I don't hear them, but if you guys hear them, just give me a heads up. Alright, so let's just jump right into this. And again, this is Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. Case studies of life between lives. And for anyone who hasn't heard this book, definitely gonna, if you know about the trap, it's gonna you're gonna see a lot here that explains some of what we've been through. These people are tapping into that, and I suspect a lot of these excuse me, regressions are extremely accurate. So let's jump into this, and I'll be doing commentary throughout the entire series, and feel free to chat away amongst yourselves, and I'll pop in and out, but I'm not going to be doing any real lengthy after chat like we normally do, just because these videos are going to be so long. So people who run across it, I want them to just be able to hear the material and then move on to the next one if they want to hear it, just because of just how incredibly long it is. Alright, so let me just make sure that the audio level's good on the book. I'm just going to check that really quick, and we will begin. Oh, just so you know, the first about 20 minutes is him kind of talking about everything, his opinions on it, and the process. And then about a little after the 20-minute mark, I think, or 15-20 minute mark, that's when the first case starts. So just to give you a heads up how it's going to roll out in the beginning.
Right there too. You would know the hidden realm where all souls dwell. The journey's way lies through death's misty fell. Within this timeless
Alright, so I'm just gonna rewind it just a little bit, because that kind of started an area. Okay. There we go.
By Tantor Media Incorporated, where all souls dwell. The journey's way lies through death's misty fell. Within this timeless passage, a guiding light does dance. lost from conscious memory, but visible in trance. Michael Newton. Introduction. Are you afraid of death? Do you wonder what is going to happen to you after you die? Is it possible you have a spirit which came from somewhere else and will return there after your body dies? Or is this just wishful thinking because you are afraid? It is a paradox that humans, alone of all creatures of the earth, must repress the fear of death in order to lead normal lives. Yet our biological instinct never lets us forget this ultimate danger to our being. As we grow older, the specter of death rises in our consciousness. Even religious people fear death as the end of personhood. Our greatest dread of death brings thoughts about the nothingness of death, which will end all associations with family and friends. Dying makes all our earthly goals seem futile. If death were the end of everything about us, then life indeed would be meaningless. However, some power within us enables humans to conceive of a hereafter, and to sense a connection to a higher power, and even an eternal soul. If we do actually have a soul, then where does it go after death? Is there really some sort of heaven full of intelligent spirits outside our physical universe? What does it look like? What do we do when we get there? Is there a supreme being in charge of this paradise? These questions are as old as humankind itself, and still remain a mystery to most of us. The true answers to the mystery of life after death remain locked behind a spiritual door for most people. This is because we have built-in amnesia about our soul identity, which on a conscious level aids in the merging of the soul and human.
Okay, so immediately he's talking about the amnesia, which we are all very familiar with, and of course it's justified. Let's continue.
Brain. In the last few years, the general public has heard about people who temporarily died and then came back to life to tell about seeing a long tunnel, bright lights, and even brief encounters with friendly spirits. But none of these accounts, written in the many books on reincarnation, has ever given us anything more than a glimpse of all there is to know about life after death. This book is an intimate journal about the spirit world. It provides a series of actual case histories, which reveal in explicit detail what happens to us when life on earth is over. You will be taken beyond the spiritual tunnel and enter the spirit world itself to learn what transpires for souls before they finally return to earth in another life.
Yep. Yeah, see, we all know that. The reincarnation trap. Yeah, we're going to end up coming back here to this lovely place and deal with all its trappings and just flat-out insanity.
I am a skeptic by nature, although it will not seem so from the contents of this book. As a counselor and hypnotherapist, I specialize in behavior modification for the treatment of psychological disorders. A large part of my work involves short-term cognitive restructuring with clients by helping them connect thoughts and emotions to promote healthy behavior. Together we elicit the meaning, function, and consequences of their beliefs, because I take the premise that no mental problem is imaginary. In the early days of my practice, I resisted past life requests from people because of my orientation toward traditional therapy. While I used hypnosis and age regression techniques to determine the origins of disturbing memories and childhood trauma, I felt any attempt to reach a former life was unorthodox and non-clinical. My interest in reincarnation and metaphysics was only intellectual curiosity, until I worked with a young man on pain management. This client complained of a lifetime of chronic pain on his right side. One of the tools of hypnotherapy to manage pain is directing the subject to make the pain worse, so he or she can also learn to lessen the aching and thus acquire control. In one of our sessions involving pain intensification, this man used the imagery of being stabbed to recreate his torment. Searching for the origins of this image, I eventually uncovered his former life as a World War I soldier who was killed by a bayonet in France, and we were able to eliminate the pain altogether. With encouragement from some of my clients, I began to experiment with moving some of them further back in time.
Now that's like the one thing about hypnosis. I was actually talking to Blistering about this the other day. Hypnosis can aid in resolving trauma and also phobias, things like even addictions. Smoking. My cousin was a long-time smoker, and she was able to quit for a very, very long time. She did take it up again. I think she quit for 7 or 8 years, but hypnosis can be used for really helping in a number of different things. You just have to be very careful with who you allow to do it. You want it, so always do your homework. Make sure they're certified. Find out, make sure they've been at least in the field for a couple years before you go deciding to book a session with them. So please make sure you do your homework before deciding to go to a hypnotherapist or a past life regression session.
Before their last birth on Earth. Initially, I was concerned that a subject's integration of current needs, beliefs, and fears would create fantasies of recollection. However, it didn't take long before I realized our deep-seated memories offer a set of past experiences which are too real and connected to be ignored. I came to appreciate just how therapeutically important the link is between the bodies and events of our former lives and who we are today. Then I stumbled onto a discovery of enormous proportions. I found it was possible to see into the spirit world through the mind's eye of a hypnotized subject, who could report back to me of life between lives on Earth. The case that opened the door to the spirit world for me was a middle-aged woman who was an especially receptive hypnosis subject. She had been talking to me about her feelings of loneliness and isolation in that delicate stage when a subject has finished recalling their most recent past life. This unusual individual slipped into the highest state of altered consciousness almost by herself. Without realizing I had initiated an overly short command for this action, I suggested she go to the source of her loss of companionship. At the same moment, I inadvertently used one of the trigger words to spiritual recall. I also asked if she had a specific group of friends whom she missed. Suddenly, my client started to cry. When I directed her to tell me what was wrong, she blurted out, "I miss some friends in my group, and that's why I get so lonely on Earth." I was confused and questioned her further about where this group of friends was actually located. "Here, in my permanent home," she answered simply, "and I'm looking at all of them right now." After finishing with this client and reviewing her tape recordings, I recognized that finding the spirit world involves an extension of past life regression. There are many books about past lives, but none I could find which told about our lives as souls, or how to properly access the spiritual recollections of people. I decided to do the research myself, and with practice, I acquired greater skill in entering the spirit world through my subjects. I also learned that finding their place in the spirit world was far more meaningful to people than recounting their former lives on Earth. How is it possible to reach the soul through hypnosis? Visualize the mind as having 3 concentric circles, each smaller than the last and within the other, separated only by layers of connected mind consciousness. The first outer layer is represented by the conscious mind, which is our critical, analytic reasoning source. The second layer is the subconscious, where we initially go in hypnosis to tap into the storage area for all the memories that ever happened to us in this life and former lives.
And that is how they also control us so well with things like television and radio, religion. All these things are stored and basically used against us in our subconscious mind. So by what what Michael Newton's doing, he is tapping into that to retrieve the available memories of past lives.
The third, the innermost core, is what we are now calling the superconscious mind. This level exposes the highest center of self, where we are an expression of a higher power. The superconscious houses our real identity, augmented by the subconscious, which contains the memories of the many alter egos assumed by us in our former human bodies. The superconscious may not be a level at all, but the soul itself. The superconscious mind represents our highest center of wisdom and perspective, and all my information about life after death comes from this source of intelligent energy. How valid is the use of hypnosis for uncovering truth? People in hypnosis are neither dreaming nor hallucinating. We don't dream in chronological sequences, nor hallucinate in a directed trance state. When subjects are placed in trance, their brainwaves slow from the beta wake state and continue to change vibration down past the meditative alpha stage into various levels within the theta range. Theta is hypnosis, not sleep. When we sleep, we go to the final delta state, where messages from the brain are dropped into the subconscious and vented through our dreams. In theta, however, the conscious mind is not unconscious, so we are able to receive as well as send messages with all memory channels open. Once in hypnosis, people report the pictures they see and dialogue they hear in their unconscious minds as literal observations. In response to questions, subjects cannot lie, but they may misinterpret something seen in their unconscious mind.
And they may be pulling in false memories too. So I think there's no doubt that there is, because the person experiencing this has been manipulated and deceived in their prior lifetimes, they are obviously bringing forth whatever the control system has allowed to be shared as well. So there's those memories that are valid, but they're also rooted in deceit and manipulation from the previous lifetime. So that has to be taken into account. But you'll start to get the general flow with the cases and see where I'm going with this.
As we do in the conscious state. In hypnosis, people have trouble relating to anything they don't believe is the truth. Some critics of hypnosis believe a subject in trance will fabricate memories and bias their responses in order to adopt any theoretical framework suggested by the hypnotist. I find this generalization to be a false premise. In my work, I treat each case as if I were hearing the information for the first time. If a subject was somehow able to overcome a hypnosis procedure and construct a deliberate fantasy about the spirit world, or free associate from preset ideas about their afterlife, these responses would soon become inconsistent with my other case reports. I learned the value of careful cross-examination early in my work, and I found no evidence of anyone faking their spiritual experiences to please me. In fact, subjects in hypnosis are not hesitant in correcting my misinterpretations of their statements. As my case files grew, I discovered by trial and error to phrase questions about the spirit world in a proper sequence.
And I think that's important even just with when you're going to go to a hypnosis session yourself. You have to make sure that it's not leading, that they're not leading you on, that everything is coming out natural, and the questions that are being posed have to have a certain order that is not leading to a suggestion.
Subjects in a superconscious state are not particularly motivated to volunteer information about the whole plan of soul life in the spirit world. One must have the right set of keys for specific doors. Eventually, I was able to perfect a reliable method of memory access to different parts of the spirit world by knowing which door to open at the right time during a session. As I gained confidence with each session, more people sensed I was comfortable with the hereafter, and felt it was all right to speak to me about it. The clients in my cases represent some men and women who were very religious, while others had no particular spiritual beliefs at all. Most fall somewhere in between, with a mixed bag of personal philosophies about life. The astounding thing I found as I progressed with my research was that once subjects were regressed back into their soul state, they all displayed a remarkable consistency in responding to questions about the spirit world. People even used the same words and graphic descriptions in colloquial language when discussing their lives as souls. However, this homogeneity of experience by so many clients did not stop me from continually trying to verify statements between my subjects and corroborate specific functional activities of souls.
So you see how he's already talking about consistencies. And that's what you're going to see over the course of this video series. A lot of consistencies, a lot of, similar things going on that provide the red flags to expose the Matrix reincarnation soul trap.
There were some differences in narrative reporting between cases, but this was due more to the level of soul development than to variances in how each subject basically saw the spirit world. The research was painfully slow, but as the body of my cases grew, I finally had a working model of the eternal world where our souls live. I found thoughts about the spirit world would involve universal truths among the souls of people living on Earth. It was these perceptions by so many different types of people which convinced me their statements were believable. I am not a religious person, but I found the place where we go after death to be one of order and direction, and I have come to appreciate that there is a grand design to life and afterlife.
A grand deception.
When I considered how best to present my findings, I determined the case study method would provide the most descriptive way in which the reader could evaluate client recall about the afterlife. Each case I have selected represents a direct dialogue between myself and the subject. The case testimonies are taken from tape recordings from my sessions. This book is not intended to be about my subjects' past lives, but rather a documentation of their experiences in the spirit world relating to those lives. For readers who may have trouble conceptualizing our souls as non-material objects, the case histories listed in the early chapters explain how souls appear and the way in which they function. Each case history is abbreviated to some extent because of space constraints, and to give the reader an orderly arrangement of soul activity. The chapters are designed to show the normal progression of souls into and out of the spirit world, incorporated with other spiritual information. The travels of souls from the time of death to their next incarnation has come to me from over 30 years of life between lives hypnotherapy. The travels of souls from the time of death to their next incarnation has engaged my studies since the 1970s, growing with each decade. However, most of the LBL cases in this book were collected within the past 10 years. It surprised me at first that I had people who remembered parts of their soul life more clearly after distant lifetimes than recent ones. Yet, for some reason, no one subject was able to recall the entire chronology of soul activities I have presented in this book. My clients remember certain aspects of their spiritual life quite vividly, while others' experiences are hazy to them. As a result, even with these 29 cases, I found I could not give the reader the full range of information I have gathered about the spirit world. Thus, my chapters contain details from more cases than just the 29 listed. The reader may consider my questioning in certain cases to be rather demanding. In hypnosis, it is necessary to keep the subject on track.
And that's what I really like about Michael Newton's approach in this, because he is kind of persistent. He keeps the patient or the person in check and continually asks the best question to find out the answer to help them out. And you'll see that persistence, which is good. but it's not a persistence that is leading. It's a persistence that is going to provide a lot of answers for people like us who know what's going on, and what it shows is nothing short of incredible.
When working in the spiritual realm, the demands on a facilitator are higher than with past life recall. In trance, the average subject tends to let his or her soul mind wander while watching interesting scenes unfold. My clients often want me to stop talking so they can detach from reporting what they see and just enjoy their past experiences as souls. I try to be gentle and not overly structured, but my sessions are usually single ones, which run 3 hours in length, and there is a lot to cover. People may come long distances to see me and not be able to return. I find it very rewarding to watch the look of wonder on a client's face when his or her session ends. For those of us who have had the opportunity to actually see our immortality, a new depth of self-understanding and empowerment emerges. Before awakening my subjects, I often implant appropriate post-suggestion memories. Having a conscious knowledge of their soul life in the spirit world and a history of physical existences on planets gives these people a stronger sense of direction and energy for life. Finally, I should say that what you are about to read may come as a shock to your preconceptions about death. The material presented here may go against your philosophical and religious beliefs. There will be those readers who will find support for their existing opinions. For others, the information offered in these cases will all appear to be subjective tales, resembling a science fiction story. Whatever your persuasion, I hope you will reflect upon the implications for humanity, if what my subjects have to say about life after death is accurate.
And for people like us who know about the Matrix Reincarnation Soul Trap, it is going to further help verify our knowing in this topic in many, many ways. And I'm happy that a bunch of you decided to join me for this undertaking, and you will not be disappointed. So let's keep going.
1. Death and Departure. Case 1. Subject: Oh my God, I'm not really dead, am I? I mean, my body is dead. I can see it below me, but I'm floating. I can look down and see my body lying flat in the hospital bed. Everyone around me thinks I'm dead, but I'm not. I want to shout, hey, I'm not really dead. This is so incredible. The nurses are pulling a sheet over my head. People I know are crying. I'm supposed to be dead, but I'm still alive. It's strange because my body is absolutely dead while I'm moving around it from above. I'm alive. These are the words spoken by a man in deep hypnosis, reliving a death experience. His words come in short, excited bursts and are full of awe as he sees and feels what it is to be like to be a spirit newly separated from a physical body. This man is my client, and I have just assisted him in recreating a past life death scene while he lies back in a comfortable recliner chair. A little earlier, following my instructions during his trance induction, this subject was age regressed in a return to childhood memories. His subconscious perceptions gradually coalesced as we worked together to reach his mother's womb. I then prepared him for a jump back into the mists of time by the visual use of protective shielding.
And that's really important too, is the shielding. And that's going to be part of my video on how to escape the reincarnation soul trap. That's really important that we utilize a shield. We even utilize it in our everyday lives here in the physical when necessary.
Completed this important step of mental conditioning, I moved my subject through an imaginary time tunnel to his last life on Earth. It was a short life, because he had died suddenly from the influenza epidemic of 1918. As the initial shock of seeing himself die and feeling his soul floating out of his body begins to wear off a little, my client adjusts more readily to the visual images in his mind. Since a small part of the conscious critical portion of his mind is still functioning, he realizes he is recreating a former experience. It takes a bit longer than usual, since this subject is a younger soul, and not so used to the cycles of birth, death, and rebirth, as are many of my other clients. Yet, within a few moments, he settles in and begins to respond with greater confidence to my questions. I quickly raise this subject's subconscious hypnotic level into the superconscious state. Now he is ready to talk to me about the spirit world, and I ask him what is happening to him. Subject: well, I'm rising up higher, still floating, looking back at my body. It's like watching a movie, only I'm in it. The doctor is comforting my wife and daughter. My wife is sobbing. Subject wiggles with discomfort in his chair. I'm trying to reach into her mind, to tell her everything is all right with me. She is so overcome by grief, I'm not getting through. I want her to know my suffering is gone. I'm free of my body. I don't need it anymore, that I will wait for her. I want her to know that, but she is not listening to me. Oh, I'm moving away now. And so, guided by a series of commands, my client starts the process of moving further into the spirit world. It is a road many others have traveled in the security of my office. Typically, as memories in the superconscious state expand, subjects in hypnosis become more connected to the spiritual passageway. As the session moves forward, the subject's mental pictures are more easily translated into words. Short, descriptive phrases lead to detailed explanations of what it is like to enter the spirit world. We have a great deal of documentation, including observations from medical personnel, which describes the out-of-body near-death experiences of people severely injured in accidents. These people were considered clinically dead before medical efforts brought them back from the other side. Souls are quite capable of leaving and returning to their host bodies, particularly in life-threatening situations when the body is dying. People tell of hovering over their bodies, especially in hospitals, watching doctors perform life-saving procedures on them. In time, these memories fade after they return to life. In the early stages of hypnosis regression into past lives, the descriptions of subjects mentally going through their past deaths do not contradict the reported statements of people who have actually died in this life for a few minutes. The difference between these two groups of people is that subjects in hypnosis are not remembering their experiences of temporary death. People in a deep trance state are capable of describing what life is like after permanent physical death. What are the similarities of afterlife recollection between people reporting on their out-of-body experiences as a result of a temporary physical trauma and a subject in hypnosis recalling death in a past life? Both find themselves floating around their bodies in a strange way, trying to touch solid objects which dematerialize in front of them. Both kinds of reporters say they are frustrated in their attempts to talk to living people who don't respond. Both state they feel a pulling sensation away from the place where they died, and experience relaxation and curiosity rather than fear. All these people report a euphoric sense of freedom and brightness around them. Some of my subjects see brilliant whiteness totally surrounding them at the moment of death, while others observe the brightness as farther away from an area of darker space through which they are being pulled. This is often referred to as the tunnel effect.
Yeah, and that lines up very much with a lot of near-death experience accounts. It's spot on. There's other variations too, but those are very, very common.
And has become well known with the public. My second case will take us further into the death experience than case one. The subject here is a man in his 60s describing to me the events of his death as a young woman called Sally, who was killed by Kiowa Indians in an attack on a wagon train in 1866. Although this case and the last one relate death experiences after their most immediate past lives, A particular death date in history has no special relevance because it is recent. I find no significant differences between ancient and modern times in terms of graphic spirit world recall or the quality of lessons learned. I should also say the average subject in trance has an uncanny ability to zero in on the dates and geographic locations of many past lives. This is true even in earlier periods of human civilization, when national borders and place names were different than exist today.
Just like, you know, a lot of these things, these are memories that are allowed to be conveyed and picked up on. These are some of the memories that we have that they allow us to have. Doesn't mean they didn't happen, it just means that it's cherry picked. That's something you really got to keep in mind. It's cherry picked because there's a filter going on where it's kind of you're allowed this, you're allowed that, you're allowed this, but there's segments of things where we are not even allowed to tap into and go back to those memories and let them out. And I'll get into that further down the road.
Names, dates, and locations may not always be easily recalled in every past life, but descriptions about returning to the spirit world and life in that world are consistently vivid. The scene in Case 2 opens on the American Southern Plains right after an arrow has struck Sally in the neck at close range. I am always careful with death scenes involving violent trauma in past lives, because the subconscious mind often still retains these experiences. The subject in this case came to me because of a lifetime of throat discomfort. Release therapy and deprogramming is usually required in these cases. In all past life recall, I use the time around death for quiet review and place the subject in observer status to soften pain and emotion. Case 2. Dr. N. Are you in great pain from the arrow? Subject. Yes. The point has torn my throat. I'm dying. Subject begins to whisper while holding his hands at the throat. I'm choking. Blood pouring down. Will, husband, is holding me. The pain. Terrible. I'm getting out now. It's over anyway. Note: souls often leave their human hosts moments before actual death, when their bodies are in great pain. Who can blame them? Nevertheless, they do stay close by the dying body. After calming techniques, I raise this subject from the subconscious to the superconscious level for the transition to spiritual memories. Dr. N. All right, Sally. You have accepted being killed by these Indians. Will you please describe to me the exact sensation you feel at the time of death? Subject. Like a force of some kind, pushing me up out of my body. Dr. N. Pushing you? Out where? Subject. I'm ejected out the top of my head. Dr. N. And what was pushed out? Subject. Well, me. Dr. N. Describe what me means. What does the thing that is you look like going out of the head of your body? Subject. Pause. Like a pinpoint of light, radiating. Dr. N. How do you radiate light? Subject. From my energy. I look sort of transparent white. My soul. Dr. N. And does this energy light stay the same after leaving your body? Subject. Pause. I seem to grow a little as I move around. Dr. N. If your light expands, then what do you look like now? Subject. Wispy, string, hanging. Dr. N. And what does the process of moving out of your body actually feel like to you? Subject: well, it's as if I shed my skin. Peeling a banana. I just lose my body in one swoosh. Dr. N: is the feeling unpleasant? Subject: oh no. It's wonderful to feel so free with no more pain, but I am disoriented.
Now, this is something we've talked about before on the channel, and I think it's extremely important to remember this. You know, she's disorientated, all right? So, disoriented. And that goes to what I've talked about with how there's this sweet spot. So when we're crossing over, there's this period of transition where we are trying to refamiliarize ourselves with our true self, our essence, okay? And that's when these forces come in and manipulate us. It's really sick because she says it right there, and there's other cases that'll say that too, and that's something I've suspected for a long time, that they take advantage of us at the most opportune moment possible. And that's that moment that we need to stand our ground and not allow it to go further. And we'll get more into that down the road, but just wanted to throw that out there because I think it's really important that we never forget that, you know, that's the prime moment where they come in at us.
Expected to die. Sadness is creeping into my client's voice, and I want him to stay focused on his soul for a minute more, rather than what is taking place on the ground with his body. Dr. N: I understand, Sally. You are feeling a little displacement at the moment as a soul. This is normal in your situation for what you have just gone through. Listen and respond to my questions. You said you were floating. Are you able to move around freely right after death? Subject: it's strange. It's as if I'm suspended in air that isn't air. There are no limits, no gravity. I'm weightless. Dr. N: you mean it's sort of like being in a vacuum for you? Subject: yes, nothing around me is a solid mass. There are no obstacles to bump into. I'm drifting. Dr. N: can you control your movements? Where are you going? Subject: yes, I can do some of that, but there is a pulling into a bright whiteness.
Okay, and that's something we're all familiar with, a pulling from the white light. If you read near-death experiences, you'll see this constantly, where the white light is present. They'll say it's brighter than the sun times a million, but it doesn't hurt them, and they always talk about this pulling sensation that's bringing them forward. Oftentimes there is guidance with that too, from entities.
It's so bright. Dr. N: is the intensity of whiteness the same everywhere? Subject: brighter away from me. It's a little darker white, gray,
very common,
in the direction of my body. Starts to cry. Oh, my poor body. I'm not ready to leave yet.
See how attached she is?
Subject pulls back in his chair as if he is resisting something. Dr. N: it's all right, Sally. I'm with you. I want you to relax and tell me if the force that took you out of your head at the moment of death is still pulling you away, and if you can stop it. Subject: pause. When I was free of my body, the pulling lessened. Now I feel a nudge, drawing me away from my body. I don't want to go yet, but something wants me to go soon.
Something.
Dr. N:
something wants her to go soon. She's conflicted. Let's continue.
I understand, Sally, but I suspect you are learning that you have some element of control. How would you describe this thing that is pulling you? Subject. A kind of magnetic force, but I want to stay a little longer. Dr. N. Can your soul resist this pulling sensation for as long as you want? Subject. There is a long pause while the subject appears to be carrying on an internal debate with himself in his former life as Sally. Yes, I can if I really want to stay. Subject starts to cry. Oh, it's awful what those savages did to my body. There is blood all over my pretty blue dress. My husband Will is trying to hold me and still fight with our friends against the Kiowa. Note: I reinforce the imagery of a protective shield around this subject, which is so important as a foundation to calming procedures. Sally's soul is still hovering over her body after I move the scene forward in time to when the Indians are driven off by the wagon train rifles. Dr. N. Sally, what is your husband doing right after the attack? Subject. Oh, good. He isn't hurt, but with sadness. He is holding my body, crying over me. There is nothing he can do for me, but he doesn't seem to realize that yet. I'm cold, but his hands are around my face, kissing me. Dr. N. And what are you doing at this moment? Subject. I'm over Will's head. I'm trying to console him. I want him to feel my love is not really gone. I want him to know that he has not lost me forever and that I will see him again. Dr.
So see, we obviously have, clear-cut observation of attachments, major attachments. You have the body, you have the husband, you have the blue dress. I mean, she's pretty much done for. She's got a, one-way ticket back here, guaranteed.
N. Are your messages getting through? Subject. There is so much grief, but he feels my essence. I know it. Our friends are around him, and they separate us finally. They want to reform the wagons and get started again. Dr. N. And what is going on now with your soul? Subject. I'm still resisting the pulling sensation. I want to stay. Dr. N. Why is that? Subject. Well, I know I'm dead, but I'm not ready to leave Will yet, and I want to watch them bury me. Dr. N. Do you see or feel any other spiritual entity around you at this moment? Subject. Pause. They are near. Soon I will see them. I feel their love as I want Will to feel mine. They are waiting until I am ready.
So there's entities waiting in the wings. No surprise there. We've seen this 1,000 times. And they're just giving her space. She's still in the confines of the system. She's totally wrapped in her earthly trappings, materialistic trappings, and they're just waiting, giving her some space until they suck her in and bring her along for the ride back into the cycle and on into soul school, so to say, before reincarnating back here.
Dr. N. As time passes, are you able to comfort Will? Subject. I'm trying to reach inside his mind. Dr. N. And are you successful? Subject. Pause. I think a little. He feels me. He realizes. Love. Dr. N. All right, Sally. Now we are going to move forward in relative time again. Do you see your wagon train friends placing your body in some kind of grave? Subject. Voice is more confident. Yes, they have buried me. It's time for me to go. They are coming for me now. I'm moving into a brighter light. Contrary to what some people believe, Souls often have little interest in what happens to their bodies once they are physically dead. This is not callousness over personal situations and the people they leave behind on earth, but an acknowledgement of these souls to the finality of mortal death. They have a desire to hurry on their way to the beauty of the spirit world. However, many other souls want to hover around the place where they died for a few Earth days, usually until after their funerals. Time is apparently accelerated for souls, and days on Earth may be only minutes to them. There are a variety of motivations for the lingering soul. For instance, someone who has been murdered or killed unexpectedly in an accident often does not want to leave right away. I find these souls are frequently bewildered or angry. The hovering soul syndrome is particularly true of deaths with young people. To abruptly detach from a human form, even after a long illness, is still a jolt to the average soul, and this too may make the soul reluctant to depart at the moment of death. There is also something symbolic about the normal 3 to 5 day funeral arrangement periods for souls.
On the topic of funerals, I think, as we've talked about in the past, and even Mr. Bowman talked about it in my previous video about how cremation is really what everybody should be doing. It just gets rid of the body. It's done. It's over with. But the point is we're not even going to be around to know anything about the damn cremation, because we'll be out of here faster than they can snap their astral fingers. So we're shutting it all down right away and getting the hell out of here. We're not going to be witness to any of this crap. Otherwise, it would be an easy way to get sucked back in. So I think that's really important to think about and keep in mind.
Souls really have no morbid curiosity to see themselves buried, because emotions in the spirit world are not the same as we experience here on Earth. Yet I find soul entities appreciate the respect given to the memory of their physical life by surviving relatives and friends. As we saw in the last case, there is one basic reason for many spirits not wanting to immediately leave the place of their physical death. This comes from a desire to mentally reach out to comfort loved ones before progressing further into the spirit world. Those who have just died are not devastated about their death, because they know those left on earth will see them again in the spirit world, and probably later in other lives as well. On the other hand, mourners at a funeral generally feel they have lost a loved one forever. During hypnosis, my subjects do recall frustration at being unable to effectively use their energy to mentally touch a human being who is unreceptive due to shock and grief. Emotional trauma of the living may overwhelm their inner minds to such an extent that their mental capabilities to communicate with souls are inhibited. When a newly departed soul does find a way to give solace to the living, however briefly, they usually are satisfied and want to then move on quickly away from Earth's astral plane. I had a typical example of spiritual consolation in my own life. My mother died suddenly from a heart attack. During her burial service, my sister and I were so filled with sadness, our minds were numb at the ceremony. A few hours later, we returned to my mother's empty house with our spouses and decided to take a needed rest. My sister and I must have reached the receptive alpha state at about the same time. Appearing in 2 separate rooms, my mother came through our subconscious minds as a dreamlike brush of whiteness above our heads. Reaching out, she smiled, indicating her acceptance of death and current well-being. Then she floated away. Lasting only seconds, this act was a meaningful form of closure, causing both of us to release into a sound sleep of the Delta state.
Now, I want to add something that's really important, because it's something I picked up on a few years ago that is extremely disturbing. I have seen a number of these examples, and it's just extremely sad. I've seen things. This is an example. You have a person who was abused by their family members, maybe their parents, or even, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody, or a group of somebodies who did not treat this person well. Now what will happen is the person will die, okay? And in a very similar scenario to what was just spoken, the person who died, who abused the person who's alive at the moment, appears either through the mind or in the form of a astral type body, semi-resembling physicality, and will ask for forgiveness, or say that they didn't mean to do that and that they love them and this and that, and they get this overwhelming feeling of love and closure. And it always, I'm telling you, it always leads to them forgiving all of the misdeeds, all of the insanity, all of the abuse that occurred to these poor people. All of it is just, boom, wiped away with the stupid appearance of this idiot who just died, that has caused nothing but hell in this person's life. And they just immediately forgive it because it's this overwhelming, incredible spiritual experience, and it's just thrown away to the wind because of that experience. It's absolutely disgusting, and I cannot tell you how many times I've seen it. It's really disturbing. It also happens when people are on their deathbeds too. So a person might be dying and they'll get a deathbed visitation, or deathbed visions, deathbed communications with a dead loved one that abused them. And so while they're dying, these entities will show up, saying they apologize, asking for forgiveness, throwing out this love bomb, and boom, everything's forgiven, everything's fine, no big deal. You see how sick that is? It's sick. So you're telling me a person's going to abuse you as a child, or going to beat on you, your husband or wife, whatever's going on, whatever the heck the scenario may be, and cause great trauma and harm to you while you're in the physical, and with the snap of a finger, you're just going to let everything slide? It's because it's all illusionary based, it's all manipulation, it's all deception. So I just wanted to throw that out there. It absolutely infuriates me when I see that, and I cannot help but feel incredible compassion and empathy for these people. And if you look around with these, you'll see it. I mean, I've seen it a lot. You'll see these stories in comment sections. You'll see them in various personal testimonies online. It's just nuts. It's nuts. Okay, let's continue. Sorry, I had to rant on that one after I heard that.
We are capable of feeling the comforting presence of the souls of lost loved ones, especially during or right after funerals. For spiritual communication to come through the shock of mourning, it is necessary to try to relax and clear your mind, at least for short periods. At these moments, our receptivity to a paranormal experience is more open to receive positive communications of love, forgiveness, hope, encouragement, and the reassurance your loved one is in a good place. When a widow with young children says to me, "A part of my husband comes to me during the difficult times," I believe her. My clients tell me as souls they are able to help those on earth connect their inner minds to the spirit world itself. As it has been wisely said, people are not really gone as long as they are remembered by those left on earth. In the chapters ahead, we will see how specific memory is a reflection of our own soul, while collective memories are the atoms of pure energy for all souls. Death does not break our continuity with the immortal soul of those we love, simply because they've lost the physical personhood of a mortal body. Despite their many activities, these departed souls are still able to reach us if called upon. Occasionally, a disturbed spirit does not want to leave the earth after physical death. This is due to some unresolved problem which has had a severe impact on its consciousness. In these abnormal cases, help is available from higher caring entities who can assist in the adjustment process from the other side.
Oh, how kind
We
of them.
also have the means to aid disturbed spirits in letting go on earth as well. I will have more to say about troubled souls in Chapter 4,
Yeah, that's a good one.
but the enigma of ghosts portrayed in books and movies has been greatly overblown. How should we best prepare for our own death? Our lives may be short or long, healthy or sick, but there comes that time when we all must meet death in a way suited for us. If we have had a long illness leading to death, there is time to adequately prepare the mind once initial shock, denial, and depression have passed. The mind takes a shortcut through this sort of progression when we face death suddenly. As the end of our physical life draws near, each of us has the capacity to fuse with our higher consciousness. Dying is the easiest period in our lives for spiritual awareness, when we can sense our soul is connected to the eternity of time. Although there are dying people who find acceptance to be more difficult than resignation, caregivers working around the dying say most everyone acquires a peaceful detachment near the end. I believe dying people are given access to a supreme knowledge of eternal consciousness, and this frequently shows in their faces. Many of these people realize something universal is out there waiting, and it will be good. Dying people are undergoing a metamorphosis of separation by their souls from an adopted body. People associate death as losing our life force, when actually the opposite is true. We forfeit our body in death, but our eternal life energy unites with the force of a divine oversoul. Death is not darkness, but light. My clients say after recalling former death experiences, they are so filled with rediscovered freedom from their earthbound bodies that they are anxious to get started on their spiritual journey to a place of peace and familiarity. In the cases which follow, we will learn what life is like for them in afterlife. 2. Gateway to the Spirit World. For thousands of years, the people of Mesopotamia believed the gates into and out of heaven lay at opposite ends of the great curve of the Milky Way, called the River of Souls. After death, souls had to wait for the rising doorway of Sagittarius and the autumn equinox, when day and night are equal. Reincarnation back to Earth could only take place during the spring equinox through the Gemini exit in their night sky. My subjects tell me that soul migration is actually much easier. The tunnel effect they experience when leaving Earth is the portal into the spirit world. Although souls leave their bodies swiftly, it seems to me entry into the spirit world is a carefully measured process. Later, when we return to Earth in another life, the route back is described as being more rapid. The location of the tunnel in relation to the Earth has some variations between the accounts of my subjects. Some newly dead people see it opening up next to them right over their bodies, while others say they move high above the Earth before they enter the tunnel. In all cases, however, the time lapse in reaching this passageway is negligible once the soul leaves Earth. Here are the observations of another individual in this spiritual location. Case 3. Dr. N. You are now leaving your body. See yourself moving further and further away from the place where you died, away from the plane of Earth. Report back to me what you are experiencing. Subject. At first, it was very bright, close to the Earth. Now it's a little darker because I have gone into a tunnel. Dr. N. Describe this tunnel for me. Subject. It's a hollow, dim vent, and there is a small circle of light at the other end. Dr. N. Okay, what happens to you next? Subject. I feel a tugging, a gentle pulling. I think I'm supposed to drift through this tunnel, and I do. It is more gray than dark now, because the bright circle is expanding in front of me. It's as if... Client stops. Dr. N, go on. Subject. I'm being summoned forward. Dr. N, let the circle of light expand in front of you at the end of the tunnel, and continue to explain what is happening to you. Subject. The circle of light grows very wide, and I'm out of the tunnel. There's a cloudy brightness, a light fog. I'm filtering through it. Dr. N, as you leave the tunnel, what else stands out in your mind, besides the lack of absolute visual clarity? Subject. Subject lowers voice. It's so still. It is such a quiet place to be in. I am in the place of the spirits. Dr. N, do you have any other impressions at this moment as a soul? Subject. Thought. I feel the power of thought all around me. Dr. N, just relax completely and let your impressions come through easily as you continue to report back to me exactly what is happening to you. Please go on. Subject. Well, it's hard to put into words. I feel thoughts of love, companionship, empathy, and it's all combined with anticipation, as if others are waiting for me. Dr. N, do you have a sense of security, or are you a little scared? Subject. I'm not scared. When I was in the tunnel, I was more disoriented. Yes, I feel secure. I'm aware of thoughts reaching out to me, of caring, nurturing. It is strange, but there is also the understanding around me of just who I am and why I am here now. Dr. N, do you see any evidence of this around you? Subject, in a hushed tone. No, I sense it. A harmony of thought everywhere. Dr. N, you mentioned cloud-like substances around you right after leaving the tunnel. Are you in a sky over Earth? Subject, pause. No, not that. But I seem to be floating through cloud stuff, which is different from Earth. Dr. N, can you see the Earth at all? Is it below you? Subject, maybe it is, but I haven't seen it since I went in the tunnel. Dr. N, do you sense you are still connected to Earth through another dimension, perhaps? Subject, that's a possibility, yes. In my mind, Earth seems close, and I still feel connected to Earth, but I know I'm in another space. Dr. N, what can you tell me about your present location? Subject, it's still a little murky, but I'm moving out of this. This particular subject, having been taken through the death experience and the tunnel, continues to make tranquil mental adjustments to her bodiless state while pulling further into the spirit world. After some initial uncertainty, her first reported impressions reflect an inviting sense of well-being. This is a common feeling among my subjects. Once through the tunnel, our souls have passed the initial gateway of their journey into the spirit world. Most now fully realize they are not really dead, but have simply left the encumbrance of an earth body which has died. With this awareness comes acceptance in varying degrees, depending upon the soul. Some subjects look at these surroundings with continued amazement, while others are more matter-of-fact in reporting to me what they see. Much depends upon their respective maturity and recent life experiences. The most common type of reaction I hear is a relieved sigh followed by something on the order of, "Oh, wonderful, I'm home in this beautiful place again."
Yeah, thank God it's over, but where you've arrived is just part of the recycling center that ends up getting you back here. It's all part of the deception and manipulation. It's like you're happy that they're finally free of their body, and in more comfort, but they're they have no clue what they're about to go through again, or they find out eventually, and it's just a mess.
There are those highly developed souls who move so fast out of their bodies that much of what I am describing here is a blur as they home into their spiritual destinations. These are the pros, and in my opinion they are a distinct minority on Earth. The average soul does not move that rapidly, and some are very hesitant. If we exclude the rare cases of highly disturbed spirits who fight to stay connected with their dead bodies, I find it is the younger souls with fewer past lives who remain attached to Earth's environment right after death. Most of my subjects report that as they emerge from the mouth of the tunnel, things are still unclear for a while. I think this is due to the density of the nearest astral plane surrounding Earth, called the Kamaloka by Theosophists. The next case describes this area from the perspective of a more analytical client. The soul of this individual demonstrates considerable observational insight into form, colors, and vibrational levels. Normally, such graphic physical descriptions by my subjects occur deeper into the spirit world after they get used to their surroundings. Case 4. Dr. N. As you move further away from the tunnel, describe what you see around you in as much detail as possible. Subject. Things are layered. Dr. N. Layered in what way? Subject. Sort of like a cake. Dr. N. Using a cake as a model, explain what you mean. Subject. I mean, some cakes have small tops and are wide at the bottom. It's not like that when I get through the tunnel. I see layers, levels of light. They appear to me to be translucent, indented. Dr. N. Do you see the spirit world here as made up of a solid structure? Subject. That's what I'm trying to explain. It's not solid, although you might think so at first. It's layered. The levels of light are all woven together in stratified threads. I don't want to make it sound like things are not symmetrical. They are. But I see variations in thickness and color refraction in the layers. They also shift back and forth. I always notice this as I travel away from Earth. Dr. N. Why do you think this is so? Subject. I don't know. I didn't design it. Dr. N. From your description, I picture the spirit world as a huge tier with layers of shaded sections, from top to bottom. Subject. Yes, and the sections are rounded. They curve away from me as I float through them. Dr. N. From your position of observation, can you tell me about the different colors of the layers? Subject. I didn't say the layers had any major color tones. They are all variations of white. It is lighter, brighter where I'm going than where I have been. Around me now is a hazy whiteness which was much brighter than the tunnel. Dr. N. As you float through these spiritual layers, is your soul moving up or down? Subject. Neither. I am moving across. Dr. N. Well then, do you see the spirit world at this moment in linear dimensions of lines and angles as you move across? Subject. Pause. For me it is mostly sweeping.
Does the stream sound alright? Seems like it's okay. I'm just going to keep going. If there's an issue, just please let me know. Thank you.
Non-material energy, which is broken into layers by light and dark color variations. I think something is pulling me into my proper level of travel and trying to relax me, too. Dr. N. In what way? Subject. I'm hearing sounds. Dr. N. What sounds? Subject. An echo of music. Musical tingling. Wind chimes. Vibrating with my movements. So relaxing. Dr. N. Other people have defined these sounds as vibrational in nature, similar to riding on the resonance from the twang of a tuning fork. Do you agree or disagree with this description? Subject nods in assent. Yes, that's what this is. And I have a memory of scent and taste, too. Dr. N. Does this mean our physical senses stay with us after death? Subject. Yes, the memory of them. The waves of musical notes here are so beautiful. Bells, strings, such tranquility. Many spirit world travelers report back to me about the relaxing sensations of musical vibrations. Noise sensations start quite early after death. Some subjects tell me they hear humming or buzzing sounds right after leaving their physical bodies. This is similar to the noise one hears standing near telephone wires, and may vary in volume before souls pull away from what I believe to be the Earth's astral plane. People have said they hear these same sounds when under general anesthesia. These flat, ringing sounds become more musical when we leave the tunnel. This music has been appropriately called energy of the universe because it revitalizes the soul. With subjects who speak about spiritual layering, I mention the possibility that they could be seeing astral planes. In metaphysical writing, we read a lot about planes above the earth. Beginning with ancient Indian scriptures called the Vedas, followed by later Eastern texts, astral planes have historically represented a series of rising dimensions above the physical or tangible world, which blend into the spiritual. These invisible regions have been experienced by people over thousands of years through meditative, out-of-body observations of the mind. Astral planes also have been described as being less dense as one moves farther away from the heavy influences of Earth. The next case represents a soul who is still troubled after passing through the spiritual tunnel. This is a man who, at age 36, died of a heart attack on a Chicago street in 1902. He left behind a large family of young children and a wife who was deeply loved. They were very poor. Case 5. Dr. N. Can you see clearly yet as you travel beyond the tunnel? Subject. I'm still passing through these foamy clouds around me. Dr. N. I want you to move all the way through this and tell me what you see now. Subject. Pause. Oh, I'm out of it. My God, this place is big. It's so bright and clean it even smells good. I am looking at a beautiful ice palace. Dr. N. Tell me more. Subject, with amazement. It's enormous. It looks like bright, sparkling crystal. Colored stones shining all around me.
And this is a common thing I've run into with some of these stories. They talk about very, very similar things. So, not everyone, but you hear this one fairly regularly, similar to what this case, which one is it? Case 5 is referring to.
N. When you say crystalline, I think of a clear color. Subject. Well, there are mostly grays and white, but as I float along, I do see other colors. Mosaics, all glittery. Dr. N. Look into the distance from within this ice palace. Do you see any boundaries anywhere? Subject. No. This place is infinite, so majestic and peaceful. Dr. N. What are you feeling right now? Subject. I can't fully enjoy it. I don't want to go further. Maggie. Subject's widow.
Okay, so he doesn't want to go any further. It's interesting, right? Let's keep going.
Dr. N. I can see you are still disturbed about the Chicago life, but does this inhibit your progress into the spirit world? Subject. Subject jerks upright in my office chair. Good. I see my guide coming towards me. She knows
Oh,
what I
boy.
need. Dr. N.
See, already thinks the guide is gonna be the savior. The savior archetype entity is there to usher them through and guide them to what we all know, the trap.
Tell me what transpires between you and your guide. Subject. I say to her I can't go on. That I need to know Maggie and the children are going to be okay. Dr. N. And how does your guide respond? Subject. She is comforting me, but I'm too loaded down. Dr. N. What do you say to her? Subject, shouting. I tell her, why did you allow this to happen? How could you do this to me? You made me go through such pain and hardship with Maggie, and now you cut off our life together. Dr. N. What does your guide do? Subject. She is trying to soothe me, telling me I did a good job and that I will see my life ran its intended course.
Are you hearing that? You did a good job. The poor thing is upset, miserable, and the guide is trying to comfort them, saying, "Oh, you did a good job. You followed your life script and this and that. Get the hell out of here."
Dr. N. Do you accept what she says? Subject. Pause. In my mind, information comes to me.
Okay, in my mind, information comes to me. So there's something being transmitted.
The future on Earth. That the family is getting on without me, accepting that I am gone. They are going to make it, and we will all see each other again.
See, then there's the manipulation that it's making the person feel better, that everything's going to be all right and we'll be reunited again, blah, blah, blah.
Dr. N. And how does this make you feel? Subject. I feel peace. With a sigh. I am ready to go on now. Before touching on the significance of Case 5 meeting his guide here, I want to mention this man's interpretation of the spirit world appearing as an ice palace. Further into the spirit world, my subjects will talk about seeing buildings and being in furnished rooms. The state of hypnosis by itself does not create these images. Logically, people should not be recalling such physical structures in a non-material world, unless we consider these scenes of Earth's natural environment are intended to aid in the soul's transition and adjustment from a physical death. These sights have individual meaning for every soul communicating with me, all of whom are affected by their Earth experiences. When the soul sees images in the spirit world which relate to places they have lived or visited on Earth, there is a reason. An unforgotten home, school, garden, mountain, or seashore are seen by souls because a benevolent spiritual force allows for terrestrial mirages to comfort us by their familiarity.
Terrestrial mirages to provide comfort. Terrestrial mirages to provide comfort. Saying it right there.
Our planetary memories never die. They whisper forever into the soul mind, on the winds of mythical dreams, just as images of the spirit world do so within the human mind. I enjoy hearing from subjects about their first images of the spirit world. People may see fields of wildflowers, castle towers rising in the distance,
That's a big one.
or rainbows under an open sky when returning to this place of adoration after an absence. These
And there is some representation of that in Soul, too, the movie. And again, I have a watch party where I'm going to do a commentary on that. It can't be on YouTube. Anyone wants to join, just shoot me a quick email, foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. That's foreverconsciousresearch@gmail.com. Please put in the subject Soul Watch Party, and I'll send out the login details prior. There's a lot to unpack, and these two things kind of like intersect. some of the stuff you'll hear here can be seen in Soul, which is, just further confirmation of a lot of this stuff. Okay, let's continue.
First ethereal earth scenes of the spirit world don't seem to change a great deal over a span of lives for the returning soul, although there is variety between client descriptions. I find that once a subject in trance continues further into the spirit world to describe the functional aspects of spiritual life, their comments become more uniform. The case I have just reviewed could be described as a fairly unsettled spirit bonded closely to his soulmate, Maggie, who was left behind. There is no question that some souls do carry the negative baggage of a difficult past life longer than others, despite the calming influences of the spirit world. People tend to think all souls become omniscient at death. This is not completely true, because adjustment periods vary. The time of soul adjustment depends upon the circumstances of death, attachments of each soul to the memories of the life just ended, and level of advancement. I frequently hear anger during age regression, when a young life ends suddenly. Souls re-entering the spirit world under these conditions are often bewildered and confused over leaving people they love without much warning. They are unprepared for death, and some feel sad and deprived right after leaving their bodies. If a soul has been traumatized by unfinished business, usually the first entity it sees right after death is its guide. These highly developed spiritual teachers are prepared to take the initial brunt of a soul's frustration following an untimely death.
Yeah. The guides, they're all ready to go, ready to take the brunt of the anger and hostility for being wronged or whatever it may be, and rinse and repeat, right? That's just part of the mechanisms in place to get you back here and pat you on the head and say, oh, you did a good job even though you had a horrible experience and it sucked. Don't worry, you did a good job. You're growing. Earth's a learning experience. It's love and light.
Case 5 will eventually make a healthy adjustment to the spirit world by allowing his guide to assist him during the balance of his incoming trip. However, I have found our guides do not encourage the complete working out of thought disorders at the spiritual gateway. There are more appropriate times and places for detailed reviews about karmic learning lessons involving life and death, which I will describe later.
Karmic learning lessons. We've been through karma. If you're new to the channel, check out the karma and sinner deception video from a few weeks back. That shed some light on that whole thing.
The guide in Case 5 offered a brief visualization of accelerated Earth time as a means of soothing this man about the future of his wife and children, so he could continue on his journey with more acceptance. Regardless of their state of mind right after death, my subjects are full of exclamations about rediscovered marvels of the spirit world. Usually, this feeling is combined with euphoria, that all their worldly cares have been left behind, especially physical pain.
Yeah, the euphoria and the love bomb is absolutely a crucial part of this system. And you will see it time and time and time and time again, over and over, if you're reading these near-death experiences and some of these life between lives, past life regression, stuff like that. You're going to see if they're tapping into the death aspect of things. But near-death experiences, you see them all the time, constantly. And that is, again, another mechanism in place to overwhelm you with love, get you all flustered and just like, oh my God, everything's so great. It's all rainbows, fairy dust, and unicorn. Meanwhile, that's a mechanism and trapping put into place to suck you back in. Very, very important. That's one of the most clear things you can see when you're researching this topic.
Above all else, the spirit world represents a place of supreme quiescence to the traveling soul. Although it may at first appear we are alone immediately following death, we are not isolated or unaided. Unseen intelligent energy forces guide each of us through the gate. New arrivals in the spirit world have little time to float around wondering where they are or what is going to happen to them next. Our guides and a number of soulmates and friends wait for us close to the gateway to provide recognition, affection, and the assurance we are all right. Actually, we feel their presence from the moment of death, because much of our initial readjustment depends upon the influence of these kindly entities.
Kindly entities. Okay. He's spot on when he's talking about how they're there, leading into death and at the time of death and then afterwards, because they're there manipulating. If you've had a family member close to you and you were present right around the time they were dying, most of the time you're going to see them talking to something that you don't see. They're having a full-fledged conversation with something, and most of the time you're going to hear them. It's going to be kind of jargled, but sometimes it could be actually clear too. But it's going to be something telling them, an entity telling them and guiding them to do something, and that's to come with them. Once you're crossing over soon. You're going to come with us because we love you and we want you back here in a body and as quickly as possible. So sick.
Toward our returning soul. 3. Homecoming. Since encountering friendly spirits who meet us after death is so important, how do we recognize them? I find a general consensus of opinion among subjects in hypnosis about how souls look to each other in the spirit world. A soul may appear as a mass of energy, but apparently it is also possible for non-organic soul energy to display human characteristics.
Hear that,
Souls
Truth
often
Bomb?
use their capacity to project former life forms when communicating with each other. Projecting a human life form is only one of an incalculable number of appearances, which can be assumed by souls from their basic energy substance. Later on, in Chapter 6, I will discuss another feature of soul identity, the possession of a particular color aura. Most of my subjects report the first person they see in the spirit world as their personal guide. However, after any life, we can be met by a soulmate. Guides and soulmates are not the same. If a former relative or close friend appears to the incoming soul, their regular guide might be absent from the scene. I find that usually guides are somewhere in close proximity, monitoring the incomer's arrival in their own way. The soul in my next case has just come through the spiritual gateway and is met by an advanced entity who obviously has had close connections with the subject over a prolonged series of past lives. Although this soulmate entity is not my client's primary guide, he is there to welcome and provide loving encouragement for her. Case 6. Dr. N. What do you see around you? Subject. It's as if I'm drifting along on pure white sand, which is shifting around me. And I'm under a giant beach umbrella with brightly colored panels, all vaporized, but banded together, too. Dr. N. Is anyone here to meet you? Subject. Pause. I thought I was alone, but... A long hesitation. In the distance... light, moving fast towards me. Oh my gosh. Dr. N. What is it? Subject. Excitedly. Uncle Charlie. Loudly. Uncle Charlie, I'm over here. Dr. N. Why does this particular person come to meet you first? Subject. In a preoccupied, far-off voice. Uncle Charlie, I've missed you so much. Dr. N. I repeat my question. Subject. Because of all my relatives, I loved him more than anybody. He died when I was a child, and I never got over it. On a Nebraska farm in this subject's most immediate past life. Dr. N. How do you know it's Uncle Charlie? Does he have features you recognize? Subject. Subject is squirming with excitement in her chair. Sure, just as I remember him. Jolly, kind, lovable. He's next to me. Chuckles. Dr. N. What is so funny? Subject. Uncle Charlie is just as fat as he used to be. Dr. N. And what does he do next? Subject. He is smiling and holding out his hand to me. Dr. N. Does this mean he has a body of some sort with hands? Subject. Laughs. Well, yes and no. I'm floating around and so is he. It's in my mind. He is showing all of himself to me, and what I am most aware of is his hand stretched out to me. Dr. N. Why is he holding out his hand to you in a materialized way? Subject. Pause. To comfort me. To lead me further into the light. Dr. N. And what do you do? Subject. I'm going with him.
Yeah, so right away, going with him. You know, it's this, but you see how in this scenario, this is a good example of consent. It's a perfect example of it, because what's happening is the entity is putting out their astral hand, so to say, and what is the person doing? Or the person who recently deceased doing? They're consenting by going. The hand is a gesture. The forward motion of going, so to say, is the consent. Consent is given. You're consenting by going with this entity, and in turn, the consent is granting you that experience and everything that comes along with it. This is the crux of the problem. It's the consent. Don't give your consent. If you give your consent, you're done. You're going to end up back here. I can only say it so many times. And that's why, you know, we were talking about Toll in the chat here, Eckhart Tolle. And just like all the other gurus, they're good when they're good in the beginning when you're early on your journey. And they're good if maybe they can help you in certain aspects of everyday life, just to make the days better, so to say. But as far as spiritual, long-term guidance, they are the definition of limited hangout. And they should only be serving a purpose for a short time. Any guru type thing, all this stuff, it should be very, very limited amounts of time you're giving them, because you should be moving on, working on yourself in the progress, and taking in further information. All of this stuff, the Matrix, Reincarnation, Soul Trap, this is really where the dedication should be. And, you know, you still need that fine balance, right? You really do. You need that fine balance to make the days easier and go by. So however you find that, that's great. And if Toll is one of those people, that's fine. Or whoever it may be, that's fine. But just remember, don't give too much to them. Don't give them too much power. You know, just apply what you can to make your everyday, the rest of your days better. But everything here that we're talking about is sovereignty, liberation, and denying consent at all costs. Because this example you just listened to is just a prime example that of the consent being released. And you know, they were just I'm going, not even thinking about it. That's what it seems to be mostly with these near-death experience cases. Almost all of them. I don't see denying consent or this or that. They're all going along for the ride. So just wanted to throw that out there. Went on a little tangent, but yeah, it's just, remember, don't put too much time in limited hangouts. They have their value for a very short time, and if they help you in your everyday life, great. But don't let it go too far and move on. You have everything you need. You have all the tools available to you to see all of this with very clear eyes. It takes a while, so anyone new to it, I promise you, if you put in the time, you will see this. It becomes very clear to see.
And we are thinking about the good times we spent together playing in the hay on the farm. Dr. N. And he is letting you see all this in your mind so you will know who he is? Subject. Yes, as I knew him in my last life. So I won't be afraid.
Okay, so there's a transferring of memories to verify that the entity is real, and in turn, that comfort is given, and trust.
He knows I am still a little shocked over my death. Subject had died suddenly in an automobile accident. Dr. N. Then, right after death, no matter how many deaths we may have experienced in other lives, it is possible to be a little fearful until we get used to the spirit world again? Subject. It's not really fear. That's wrong. More like I'm apprehensive, maybe. It varies for me each time. The car crash caught me unprepared. I'm still a little mixed up. Dr. N. All right. Let's go forward a bit more. What is Uncle Charlie doing now? Subject. He is taking me to the place I should go.
Oh.
Dr. N. On the count of 3, let's go there.
Oh, boy.
1, 2, 3. Tell me what is happening. Subject. Long pause. There are other people around, and they look friendly as I approach. They seem to want me to join them.
I bet.
Dr. N. Continue to move towards them.
Likely they're
Do you get the
group.
impression they might be waiting for you? Subject. Recognition. Yes! In fact, I realize I have been with them before.
Here comes the welcoming party. Yay! Yeah! Yay! You had you had that horrible experience down on Earth, but you did good. Come on, let's get back together and have a good time, and let's get you back down to Earth as soon as possible.
Pause. No, don't go. Dr. N. What's happening now? Subject, very upset. Uncle Charlie is leaving me. Why is he going away? Dr. N. I stopped the dialogue to use standard calming techniques in these circumstances, and then we continue. Look deeply with your inner mind. You must realize why Uncle Charlie is leaving you at this point. Subject, more relaxed but with regret. Yes, he stays in a different place than I do. He just came to meet me, to bring me here. Dr. N. I think I understand. Uncle Charlie's job was to be the first person to meet you after your death and see you were okay. I'd like to know if you feel better now and more at home. Subject. Yes, I do. That's why Uncle Charlie has left me with the others. A curious phenomenon about the spirit world is that important people in our lives are always able to greet us, even though they may already be living another life in a new body. This will be explained in Chapter 6. In Chapter 10, I will examine the ability of souls to divide their essence so they can be in more than one body at a time on Earth. Usually at this juncture in a soul's passage, the carry-on luggage of Earth's physical and mental burdens are diminishing for 2 reasons. First, the evidence of a carefully directed order and harmony in the spirit world has brought back the remembrance of what we left behind before we chose life in physical form. Secondly, there is the overwhelming impact of seeing people we thought we would never meet again after they died on Earth. Here is another example. Case 7. Dr. N. Now that you have had the chance to adjust to your surroundings in the spirit world, tell me what effect this place has on you. Subject. It's so warm and comforting. I'm relieved to be away from Earth. I just want to stay here always.
I bet.
There's no tension or worries, only a sense of well-being. I'm just floating. How beautiful. Dr. N. As you continue to float along, what is your next major impression as you pass the spiritual gateway? Subject. Pause. Familiarity.
Yep.
Dr. N. What is familiar? Subject, after some hesitation. People. Friends are here, I think. Dr. N. Do you see these people as familiar people on Earth? Subject. I have a sensation of their presence. People I knew. Dr. N. All right, keep moving along.
It really, you have to ask. I really don't think. I can't say either way. What am I saying? It makes you wonder. Even though we all know it's illusionary based, are these actual entities with the connections that they have? Are they actually experiencing those, or are they kind of like carbon copies of that soul they did have a relationship with that is just kind of running like a program? You know, you have to ask yourself, how much of it is an actual interaction that we could, dare I say it, authentic, or is it, a program? I think there could be a combination of both running, so thought I'd throw that out there.
What do you see next? Subject. Lights. Soft. Kind of cloudy-like. Dr. N. As you are moving, does this light continue to look the same? Subject. No, they are growing. Blobs of energy. And I know they are people. Dr. N. Are you moving toward them, or are they coming toward you? Subject. We are drifting toward each other. But I am going slower than they are because I'm uncertain what to do. Dr. N. Just relax and continue floating while reporting back to me everything you see.
It's kind of, they don't know what to do. So it's like they're kind of in this reuniting experience, almost in a limbo, and like they're awaiting orders. That's kind of how I look at that.
Subject. Pause. Now I'm seeing half-formed human shapes. From the waist up only. Their outlines are transparent too. I can see through them. Dr. N. Do you see any sort of features to these shapes? Subject. Anxiously. Eyes. Dr. N. You see just eyes? Subject. There is only a trace of a mouth. It's nothing. Alarmed. The eyes are all around me now, coming closer. Dr. N. Does each entity have 2 eyes? Subject. That's right. Dr. N. Do these eyes have the appearance of human eyes with an iris and pupil? Subject. No. Different. They are larger. Black orbs radiating light towards me. Thought. Then with a relieved sigh. Oh. Dr. N. Go on.
There we go.
Subject. I'm starting to recognize them.
I bet.
They're sending images into my mind. Thoughts.
Sending. They're transmitting. Which, that's how this communication works from everything we've been able to tell, right? So it's not really that surprising, but it's being sent. So what you have to question the authenticity is kind of what I'm getting at. What do you guys think?
About themselves, and the shapes are changing into people. Dr. N.
Yeah, I agree. It does seem one way, Jess. I agree.
People with physical human features. Subject. Yes. Oh, look, it's him. Dr. N. What do you see? Subject. Begins to laugh and cry at the same time. I think it's Larry. He is in front of everybody else.
Larry.
He is the first one I really see. Larry. Dr. N. After giving my subject a chance to recover a little, the sole entity of Larry is in front of an assortment of people you know? Subject. Yes. Now I know the ones I want to see the most are in front. Some of my other friends are in the back. Dr. N. Can you see them all clearly? Subject. No, the ones in back are hazy, far off. But I have the sensation of their presence. Larry is in front, coming up to me. Larry!
Larry!
Dr. N. Larry is the husband from your last life you told me about earlier? Subject. Subject rushes on. Yes, we had such a wonderful life together. Gunther was so strong. Everyone was against our marriage in his family. Jean deserted from the Navy to save me from the bad life I was living in Marseille, always wanting me. This subject is so excited, her past lives are tumbling one on top of the other. Larry, Gunther, and Jean were all former husbands, but the same soulmate. I was glad we had a chance to review earlier who these people were in sessions before this interval of recall in the spirit world. Besides Larry, her recent American husband, Jean was a French sailor in the 19th century, and Gunther was the son of German aristocrats living in the 18th century.
Yes.
Dr. N. What are the two of you doing right now? Subject. Embracing.
I wonder why that
Dr. N. If a third party were to look at the two of you embracing at this moment, what would they see? Subject. No answer. Dr. N. The subject is so engrossed in the scene with her soulmate, there are tears streaming down her face. I wait a moment and then try again. What would you and Larry look like to someone watching you in the spirit world right now? Subject. They would see two masses of bright light whirling around each other, I guess. Subject begins to settle down, and I help wipe the tears off her face with a tissue. Dr. N. And what does this signify? Subject. We are hugging, expressing love, connecting. It makes us happy. Dr. N. After you meet your soulmate, what happens next? Subject. Subject tightly grips the recliner arms. Oh, they are all here. I only sensed them before. Now more are coming closer to me. Dr. N. And this happens after your husband comes near you? Subject. Yes. Mother. She is coming over to me. I've missed her so much. Oh, Mom. Subject begins to cry again. Dr. N. All right. Subject. Oh, please don't ask me any questions now. I want to enjoy this. Subject appears to be in silent conversation with her mother of the last life. Dr. N. I wait for a minute. Now, I know you are enjoying this meeting, but I need you to help me know what is going on. Subject, in a faraway voice. We are just holding each other. It's so good to be with her again. Dr. N. How do you manage to hold each other with no bodies? Subject, with a sigh of exasperation at me. We envelop each other in light, of course. Dr. N. Tell me what that is like for spirits. Subject. Like being wrapped in a bright, light blanket of love.
Of course.
Dr. N. I see, then. Subject. Subject interrupts with a high-pitched laugh of recognition. Tim! It's my brother. He died so young. A drowning accident at age 14 in her last life.
Oh.
It's so wonderful to see him here. Subject waves her arm.
Remember the good old days when you drowned when you were 14 years old? Oh, it was a blast.
And there is my best girlfriend, Wilma, from next door. We are laughing together over boys like we did while sitting up in her attic.
Are Fred and Dino
Dr.
there?
N. After Subject mentions her aunt and a couple of other friends, what do you think determines the sequence of how all these people come here to greet you? Subject. Pause. Why, how much we all mean to each other. What else? Dr. N. And with some you have lived many lives, while with others perhaps only one or two? Subject. Yes. I have been with my husband the most. Dr. N, do you see your guide around anywhere? Subject. He is here. I see him floating off to the side. He knows some of my friends, too. Dr. N, why do you call your guide a him? Subject. We all show what we want of ourselves. He always relates to me with a masculine nature. It's right and very natural. Dr. N, and does he watch over you in all your lives? Subject. Sure. And after death, too. Here, and he is always my protector.
Always her protector. Always around. See that? So there's this entity guide hook that's there to continually keep them in the process. It's a perfect way to orchestrate the mechanisms of the system, right? You have that one really strong connection, or that little small group of really strong connections that are going to follow you lifetime after lifetime. It's genius. You gotta tip your hat to the insanity of the system and how well it works. But it's also really pathetic because it doesn't take much. But God, just everything is given away. Everything, the consent, the sovereignty. It's sad. It's sad. But it works, right? It's happening.
Our reception committee is planned in advance for us as we enter the spirit world. This case demonstrates how uplifting familiar faces can be to the incoming younger soul. I find there are a different number of entities waiting in greeting parties after each life. Although the meeting format varies, depending on a soul's special needs, I have learned there is nothing haphazard about our spiritual associates, knowing exactly when we are due and where to meet us upon our arrival in the spirit world. Frequently, an entity who is significant to us will be waiting a little in front of the others who want to be on hand as we come through the gateway. The size of welcoming parties not only changes for everyone after each life, but is drastically reduced to almost nothing for more advanced souls, where spiritual comfort becomes less necessary. Case 9 at the end of this chapter is an example of this type of spiritual passage. Cases 6 and 7 both represent one of the 3 ways newly arrived souls are received back into the spirit world. These 2 souls were met shortly after death by a principal entity, followed by others of decreasing influence. Case 7 recognized people more quickly than Case 6. When we meet such spirits in a gathering right after our death, we find they have been spouses, parents, grandparents, siblings, uncles, aunts, cousins, and dear friends in our past lives. I have witnessed some gut-wrenching emotional scenes with my clients at this stage of their passage. The emotional meetings which take place between souls at this interval in a spiritual passage are only a prelude to our eventual placement within a specific group of entities at our own maturity level.
So yeah, there's this kind of like these graduation levels going on too. These perceived graduation levels. So it kind of makes the soul feel special. Like, oh, you've graduated from this level. Just like a pyramid scheme, right? Just like what we see down here. Same thing. And, you probably pick up, these phony masters and spirit guides and soul groups that kind of go along with your quote-unquote progression in this insanity.
These meetings provide another emotional high for a subject in superconscious recall.
See?
Spiritual organizational arrangements involving how groups form and are cross-matched with other entities will be described in subsequent chapters.
So sick.
For the present,
wait to hear that.
It is important we understand welcoming entities may not be part of our own particular learning group in the spirit world. This is because all the people who are close to us in our lives are not on the same developmental level. Simply because they choose to meet us right after death out of love and kindness does not mean they will be part of our spiritual learning group when we arrive at the final destination of this journey. For instance, in Case 6, Uncle Charlie was clearly a more advanced soul than my subject, and may even have been serving in the capacity of a spiritual guide. It was evident to me that one of the primary tasks of Uncle Charlie's soul was to help Case 6 as a child in the life just ended, and his responsibility continued right after my subject's death. With Case 7, the important first contact was Larry, a true soulmate on the same level as this subject. Notice also in Case 7 that my subject's spiritual guide was not conspicuous among her former relatives and friends. However, as the scene unfolded, there were indications of a spiritual guide orchestrating the whole meeting process, while remaining in the background.
Yeah, orchestrating the whole meeting process and working in the background. Yep. It's like, oh, okay, let me just pull up my Rolodex here. Oh, shit, they just died. They're on their way. I guess, let me just figure out what they're all about again. Go through my memory bank here in Rolodex, and so I can roll out the red carpet of fuckery.
I see this in many cases. The second manner in which we are met right after death involves a quiet, meaningful encounter with one's spiritual guide, where no one else is revealed in the immediate vicinity, as in Case 5. Case 8 further illustrates this sort of meeting. What type of after-death meeting we do experience appears to involve the particular style of our spiritual guide, along with requisites of our individual character. I find the duration of this first meeting with our guides does vary after each life, depending upon the circumstances of that life. Case 8 shows the very close relationships people have with their spiritual guides. Many guides have strange-sounding names, while others are rather conventional. I find it interesting that the old-fashioned religious term of having a guardian angel is now used metaphysically to denote an empathetic spirit. To be honest, this is a term I once denigrated as being foolishly loaded with wishful thinking and representing an outdated mythology at odds with the modern world. I don't have that belief anymore about guardian angels. I am repeatedly told that the soul itself is androgynous, and yet in the same breath, clients declare sex is not an unimportant factor. I have learned all souls can and do assume male and female mental impressions toward other entities as a form of identity preference. Cases 6 and 7 show the importance of the newly arrived soul in seeing familiar faces identified by gender. This is also true of the next case. Another reason why I selected Case 8 is to indicate how and why souls choose to visually appear in human form to others in the spirit world. Case 8. Dr. N. You have just started to actually leave the Earth's astral plane now, and are moving further and further into the spirit world. I want you to tell me what you feel. Subject. The silence, so peaceful. Dr. N. Is anyone coming to meet you? Subject. Yes, it's my friend Rachel.
Of course, good old
She
Rachel.
is always here for me when I die.
Huh.
Dr. N.
Another one.
Is Rachel a soulmate who has been with you in other lives? Or is she someone who always remains here? Subject, with some indignation. She doesn't always stay here, no. She is with me a lot in my mind when I need her. She is my own guardian, said with possessive pride. Note, the attributes of guides as differentiated from soulmates and other supportive entities will be examined in Chapter 8. Dr. N. Why do you call this entity a she? Aren't spirits supposed to be sexless? Subject. That's right, in a literal way, because we are capable of both attributes. Rachel wants to show herself to me as a woman for the visual knowing, and it is a mental thing as well with her. Dr. N. Are you locked into male or female attributes during your spiritual existence? Subject. No. As souls, there are periods in our existence when we are more inclined toward one gender than another. Eventually, this natural preference evens out. Dr. N. Would you describe how Rachel's soul actually looks to you at this moment? Subject, quietly. A youngish woman, as I remember her best. Small, with delicate features. A determined expression on her face. So much knowledge and love. Dr. N.
Love and light.
Then you have known Rachel on Earth? Subject, responding with nostalgia. Once, long ago, she was close to me in life. Now she is my guardian. Dr. N. And what do you feel when you look at her? Subject. A calmness, tranquility, love. Dr. N. Do you and Rachel actually look at each other with eyes in a human way? Subject hesitates. Sort of, but different. You see the mind behind what we take to be eyes, because that is what we relate to on Earth. Of course, we can do the same thing as humans on Earth, too. Dr. N. What can you do on Earth with your eyes that can also be done in the spirit world? Subject. When you look into a certain person's eyes on the ground, even people you have just met, and see a light you have known before, well, that tells you something about them. As a human, you don't know why, but your soul remembers. Note, I have heard about the light of spiritual identity being reflected in the human eyes of a soulmate, expressed in a variety of ways from many clients. As for myself, I have knowingly experienced this instant recognition only once in my life, at the moment I first saw my own wife. The effect is startling, and a bit eerie as well. Dr. N. Are you saying that sometimes on Earth, when two people look at each other, they may feel they have known one another before? Subject. Yes, it's déjà vu. Dr. N. Let's go back to Rachel in the spirit world. If your guardian did not project an image of herself in human form to you, would you have known her anyway? Subject. Well, naturally, we can always identify each other by the mind, but it's nicer this way. I know it sounds crazy, but it's a social thing. Seeing a familiar face puts you at ease. Dr. N. Seeing human features of people you knew in past lives is a good thing, then? Particularly in the readjustment period right after leaving Earth?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much was just said in those, last minute or two. There's these connections that we continually have and take with us and connect with, and it's genius because it's a way to just continually suck us in through emotion and love and all these experiences that have been logged through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. It really is an incredible system. I don't want to rant too much, but excuse me, there are definite connections between family and loved ones, partners, things like husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, all that stuff. It's wild, and they're pretty clear to see once you start going through these cases, and it's represented very well in this book. So let's move on.
Subject. Yeah, otherwise you feel a little lost at first. Lonesome. And maybe confused, too. Seeing people as they were helps me get used to things here faster when I first come back. And seeing Rachel is always a big boost. Dr. N. Does Rachel present herself to you in human form right after each death on Earth, as a way of getting you readjusted to the spirit world? Subject, eagerly. Oh, yes, she does. And she gives me security. I feel better when I see others I have known before, too. Dr. N. And do you speak to these people?
Eases the suffering.
Subject. No one speaks. We communicate by the mind.
Or the misery.
Dr. N. Telepathically? Subject. Yes. Dr. N. Is it possible for souls to have private conversations which cannot be telepathically picked up by others? Subject. Pause. For intimacy. Yes. Dr. N. How is this done? Subject. By touch. It's called touching communication. Note: when two spirits come so close to each other, they are conjoined. My subjects say that they can send private thoughts by touch, which passes between them as electrical sound impulses. In most instances, subjects in hypnosis do not wish to talk to me about these personal confidences. Dr. N, could you clarify for me how human features can be projected by you as a soul? Subject: from my massive energy. I just think of the features I want, but I can't tell you what gives me the ability to do this. Dr. N.
Okay, so that's also another way to keep in the hooks and the human body brewing in the back of the soul. You know, it's another hook, because think about it. If that ability is, if we're capable of that ability and projecting that, especially imagine the power that something like that would hold with a partner, like a husband-wife, you know, with sexual attraction, things like that, or overwhelming attraction, things like that. That can even be utilized up there, not in the same exact sense, but enough where it is recognizable and used against you. Take care, PK. Have a good day. Sorry for your loss. Okay, we're going to move on here.
Well, then, can you tell me why you and the other souls project certain features at different times? Subject: long pause. It depends on where you are in your movements around here. When you see another, and your state of mind, then. Dr. N, that's what I want to get at. Tell me more about recognition. Subject: you see, recognition depends on a person's feelings when you meet them here. They will show you what they want you to see of themselves and what they think you want to see. It also depends on the circumstances of your meeting with them. Dr. N, can you be more specific? What different circumstances can cause energy forms to materialize in a certain way toward other spirits? Subject: it is the difference between your being on their turf or your turf. They may choose to show you one set of features in one place, while in another you might see something else. Note: spiritual territory will be explained as we proceed further into the spirit world. Dr. N, are you telling me that a soul may show you one face at the gateway to the spirit world, and another image later in a different situation? Subject: that's right. Dr. N, why? Subject: like I was telling you, a lot of how we present ourselves to each other depends on what we are feeling right then, what relationship we have with a certain person, and where we are.
Yeah.
Dr. N, please tell me if I understand all this correctly. The identity souls project to each other depends on timing and location in the spirit world, as well as mood, and maybe psychological states of mind when they meet? Subject: sure. And it works both ways. It's interconnecting. Dr. N, then how can we know the true character of a soul's consciousness with all these changes in each other's image? Subject laughs. The image you project never hides who you really are from the rest of us. Anyway, it's not the same kind of emotion we know on Earth. Here it is more abstract. Why we project certain features and thoughts is based on a confirmation of ideas. Dr. N, ideas? Do you mean your sentiments at the time? Subject: yes, sort of. Because these human features were part of our physical lives in other places when we discovered things and developed ideas. It is all a continuum for us to use here. Dr. N, well, if in each of our past lives we have a different face, which one do we assume between lives? Subject: we mix it up. You assume those features which the person you see will most recognize as you, depending on what you want to communicate. Dr. N, what about communication without projecting features? Subject: sure, we do that. It's normal. But I mentally associate with people more quickly with features. Dr. N, do you favor projecting a certain set of facial features? Subject. I like the face with the mustache, having a rock-hard jaw. Dr. N. You mean when you were Jeff Tanner, the cowpuncher from Texas, in the life we discussed earlier? Subject. Laughs. That's it. And I have had faces like Jeff's in other lives, too. Dr. N. But why Jeff? Was it just because he was you in your last life? Subject. No, I felt good as Jeff. It was a happy, uncomplicated life. Damn, I looked great. My face resembled those billboard smoking ads you used to see along the highway. Chuckling. I enjoy showing off my handlebar mustache as Jeff. Dr. N. But that was only one life. People not associated with you in that life may not recognize you here. Subject. Oh, they would get it was me soon enough. I could change to something else, but I like myself as Jeff the best right now. Dr. N. So this goes back to what you were saying about all of us really only having one identity, regardless of the number of facial features we might project as souls? Subject. Yeah, you see everyone as they truly are. Some only want their best side to show because of what you might think of them. They don't fully appreciate that it is what you are striving for which is important, not how you appear. We get a lot of laughs about how spirits think they should look, even taking faces they never had on Earth, and that's okay. Dr. N. Are we talking about the more immature souls, then? Subject. Yes, usually. They can get stuck. We don't judge. In the end, they are going to be all right. Dr. N. I think of the spirit world as a place of supreme, all-knowing, intelligent consciousness. And you make it appear that souls have moods and vanity as though they were back on Earth. Subject. Burst of laughter. People are people no matter how they look on their physical worlds. Dr. N. Oh, do you see souls who have gone to planets other than Earth? Subject. Pause. Once in a while. Dr. N. What features do souls from other planets besides Earth show you? Subject. Evasively. I kind of stick with my own people, but we can assume any features we want for communication.
See, I think when, we obviously know, most of us know about the whole space thing and all the crap behind that. I think when they're talking about that, again, there's obviously deception and manipulation involved with this stuff on many levels, but the narrative is very clear, and it keeps kind of repeating itself. I think they're just going and there's other material realms, just like there's many astral realms. There's probably many other physical localities in which you can incarnate in and mix it up a little bit. But as long as you're staying within the confines of the system and you're stuck here, you don't have to necessarily be, everything seems to come back to reincarnating on Earth, right? But we have to also take into account that there's other, maybe even copies of Earth that exist and other planes of existence of a material nature where it still is rooted in loosh extraction, energy extraction, whatever you want to call it, to, as long as you're staying in the system. I think that's really the bottom line. So we're kind of, that's a theory, but it would make sense. That's all. So there's no way I can say either way, it's true or not. But the point is it's all rooted in keeping your soul inside of the umbrella of the master system, which includes Earth and all of the astral realms, sub-realms, and that's it. So let's move on. But by the way, this is going to be the last case, and then we're going to wrap it up. So I'm not sure how much longer we have to go, but we'll finish this one out and close out for the day. So let's keep going here.
Note: gaining information from the subjects I have had who are able to recall leading physical past lives in non-human form on other worlds is always challenging. Recollection of these experiences are usually limited to older, more advanced souls, as we will see later. Dr. N, is this ability to transmit features to each other as souls a gift the Creator provided for us based upon spiritual need? Subject, how should I know? I'm not God. The concept of souls having fallibility comes as a surprise to some people. The statements of Case 8 and all my other clients indicate most of us are still far from perfect beings in the spirit world. The essential purpose of reincarnation is self-improvement. The psychological ramifications of our development, both in and out of the spirit world, is the foundation of my work. We have seen the importance of meeting other entities while entering the spirit world. Besides uniting with our guides and other familiar beings, I have mentioned a third form of re-entry after death. This is the rather disconcerting manner in which a soul is met by no one. Although it is an uncommon occurrence for most of my clients, I still feel a little sorry for those subjects who describe how they are pulled by unseen forces all alone to their final destinations, where contact is finally made with others. This would be akin to landing in a foreign country where you have been before, but without any baggage handlers, or a tourist information desk to assist you with directions.
Alright, so you see how he's basically, making excuses and all that type of stuff for the whole system, sugarcoating it, making it seem all, love and light, rainbows and unicorns. And then he talks about, how there's, on occasion, ones who are not met. And who knows what that's rooted in, because that could have a lot to do with a number of things. But, a couple things that come to mind are those who choose that and also had that kind of implemented in their reality while on Earth. We really don't know what the reasoning is behind it, but the point is the destination's always the same at the end of the day.
I suppose what bothers me the most about this type of entry is the apparent lack of any soul acclamation. My own conceptions of what it must be like to be alone at the spiritual gateway and beyond is not shared by those souls who utilize the option of going solo. Actually, people in this category are experienced travelers. As older, mature souls, they seem to require no initial support system. They know right where they are going after death. I suspect the process is accelerated for them as well, because they manage to more rapidly wind up where they belong than those who stop to meet others. Case 9 is a client who has had a great number of lives, spanning thousands of years. About 8 lives before his current one, people finally stopped meeting him at the spiritual gate. Case 9. Dr. N.
Okay, so I think we're gonna leave it at that for today. So we are gonna pick up on Case 9 when we go to Part 2. And that will be probably tomorrow at some point, and probably go for another 2 hours, something like that. What I'll do on the way out here for I'll just kind of chat with you guys a little bit, but I'm gonna throw up like a I think it's, do I even have it here still? Anyways, yeah, I'll just kind of, if you guys have any questions, anything you want to pop in there, I'll stick around for maybe 5 more minutes. It's 2:22. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions, any comments, anything you want to add in there, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna go from the bottom of the chat because there's just so much in the chat today. For those of you, just as a side note, who haven't checked out Odysee yet, highly recommend it. I'll be doing exclusive videos over on there. I know I've said this a bunch of times, but I don't know who's new and who's not. I have a channel over there, and you can, if you're new, there's a referral link in the description tab of the video, and you could use that and you get some free library cryptocurrency with it. And what it does is it also helps promote the channel over on library. Doesn't cost anything, and there's a bunch of different content over there that you can find from other creators that you definitely are not going to find on YouTube. And it seems to be a pretty reliable, steady platform. It's becoming more well known. I waited a few years before I signed up for it, but I'm really happy that I went over there. It's definitely worth checking out. I also have a Twitter and 2 backup YouTube channels should anything ever happen here. It's a way for us to stay in touch. And yeah, so feel free to check those out, subscribe and bell those if you'd like. And the backup channels I have yet to use. There's just one video on each of them, so I'm not going to clog up your feeds or anything. But if you're new here, consider subscribing and hitting the bell for all notifications. Otherwise, you only will get them periodically. So if you want to stay up to date on this series and future releases, just consider hitting the bell so you get notified. I also try to send out notifications through the community tab, etc., and Twitter when I remember. I forgot to do it today, but I try to send out notifications when I remember. So yeah, I'll just check the chat really quick, and then we'll, for about 5 minutes, and then we'll wrap things up. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jess, Dodger, Jay, Ann, BB. Yeah, thank you all very much. I appreciate you all sticking around. Night Sky, thank you as well. Everyone else who said thank you for joining me. I think this book really lays out a lot, and this is just the beginning. It's just the beginning of what you're gonna hear. It goes into much more depth about the mechanics and the coming case files ahead. So definitely, if you enjoyed this one, this is just the beginning, and it's definitely worth sticking around. And if you can make it through it, it's going to be a long series. Like I said, probably at least 6-7 videos. And some will be shorter, some will be like an hour and a half, some will be up to like 2.5 hours like we did today, things like that. So yeah, I think probably just gonna wrap it up. Actually, I'm pretty tired, but thank you again, much love, blessings to you all, and I will see you soon. The chat will probably, usually when I end the stream, the chat's still active for a few minutes after. So if you enjoyed the video, consider hitting the like button, sharing it with your friends. I'm also encouraging everyone out there who's aware of this to consider, if you have a blog, if you have a Facebook or Instagram, all that stuff, consider, or even your own YouTube channel, consider doing a video on the topic yourself. So I think the more of us who are spreading awareness, the better. It's a topic, yeah, it's starting to gain traction, and there's a lot of people interested in it, but we need more people talking about it. The more people that hear it, click on it, are aware that it even exists, the better, because it plants the seed, right? So I'm just encouraging everyone out there to try and do something to get more people hearing this, because there's no more important topic than figuring out the Matrix Reincarnation Soul Trap, really. So yeah, just my suggestion. So an encouragement to all of you out there. And we will meet again soon. I should be doing this tomorrow, so I'll post up a link. If you check back at the channel, probably sometime later today or tomorrow, a link should appear. I'll try and put it up at least a few hours in advance, maybe tonight, so it's at least maybe 10, 12, 14 hours in advance, so you can hit the reminder button if you want to. And yeah, that's about it. I will see you soon. Much love, blessings again, round 2. And have a great rest of your weekend.